Okay, good morning everyone. I hope you can all see my screen okay just now and hear my audio. Welcome to today's Coffee Break Learning. Thank you so much for joining us. The session is being recorded today, so you will be able to access it at a later date if you can't come along live today or if you want to recap on it. So I'm going to pass you over just now to Louise Ballantyne, if Louise would like to switch her mic on just now.
Okay, can you hear me, Laura?
Yeah, we can hear you, that's great.
Good stuff. Good morning, everyone. My name is Louise Ballantyne and I'm the workstream lead for Literacy for All in Glasgow Counts. I hope you find this morning's session really useful, not only in terms of what high quality learning and teaching looks like in spelling, but in using digital tools to support now that we're going into this recovery period and looking at what blended learning approaches might look like. And I'll hand you over to the Literacy for All team now. Okay, Laura?
Yep, that's great. I'm just going to hand you over to Emma Fretwell just now.
Hi, good morning everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Laura, can I just check that you can hear me okay as well?
Yep, we can hear you perfectly.
Great. Okay, hi, my name's Emma Fretwell and I'm from the Literacy for All team at Glasgow's Improvement Challenge, and I'm lucky enough to work alongside the lovely Laura in the team. So this morning we're linking some of the Literacy for All key messages, strategies and approaches relating to spelling. We're going to be sharing some digital tools that will support us in this new normal that we seem to have found ourselves in. We'll be sharing the one screen today, so for a bit of a smoother transition. So if you don't mind being a bit patient with us when we're coming in and out of different apps, because there might be a slight lag. But all of this, as Laura has said, is being recorded so you can access this information at any time. Like many key areas within Literacy for All framework, we know just how important it is for spelling to be explicitly taught. Similar to before, during and after reading and writing strategies that we promote in Literacy for All, learners should be given an opportunity to choose and explain the strategies that they use to help them spell new words. We know that by providing a range of active and multisensory learning experiences, learners are more able to develop and apply their skills successfully. We encourage learners to make their thinking visible and know that they learn best when using valuable strategies in a variety of different ways. It's important for us as teachers to integrate AIFL approaches into our practice, and later on we will discuss that in a little bit further in more detail using some digital tools. There are three key aspects that we're going to talk about today and important when teaching spelling. So first of all, phonemes, common words and spelling rules. Some spelling approaches present themselves organically and some we plan for, such as providing lists of specific spelling words. We'll quickly look at each of these this morning. Our key message here is to give learners the strategies and tools they need to learn and apply their knowledge and understanding. Even more so in these times, it's vital that we have a strategic approach to creating an equitable spelling programme where sounds and words are taught explicitly together with the teacher in order for learners to practice confidently during home learning tasks. So first going to talk just briefly about the phoneme approach. When we introduce a new sound with a class or group, learners will be offered a range of experiences in saying sounds and words, making, breaking, blending sounds together, reading and writing their words. One of the strategies that we promote through our Literacy for All training is the use of Alchemy Boxes to help support these strategies. So in a second, we'll take you through how you can create a digital version of this to support learners through using iPads at school or at home. All the templates that we've created today, we're going to upload onto Teams, so they'll be ready for you to use as you wish.
Okay, so as Emma said, we're going to look just now at some of the phonemes approaches. We also, throughout the presentation today, if you were tuned in this last week, you may have seen some of our presenters make reference to the Framework for Digital Literacy and Computing Science. So just to be reminded, to access that, you would need to make sure the Glasgow's Improvement Challenge tile is on your Glow Launchpad. And then when you access this, you can go into either the Literacy for All or Glasgow Counts tile, and you'll see there is another button that gives you access to this framework. A working party over the last few years of colleagues across the city had been working on this, and it was launched last year, and it's a fantastic tool to support planning, teaching, learning and assessment. So if we look very quickly just now, this is just the first level tracker of the Literacy for All framework. So most of you will probably be familiar with this, and you can see we've highlighted some of the tools for writing. So just as Emma said, looking at using phonemic knowledge, learning new spellings, all of those different areas. And then the next slide is taken from the first level tracker from the digital literacy framework, and it's just looking at how those skills, those different areas can be covered within both trackers. So it just gives you a little flavour of what it kind of looks like, and you'll see that both frameworks are very similar in the layout to make it as accessible for our colleagues as possible.
Okay, so we're just going to have a look at the Alchemy Boxes at the moment. So Alchemy Boxes help to build phonological awareness skills by segmenting words into individual sounds or phonemes. So we're going to go into Keynote just now. So we just give us a second to cross over. Okay, so as you can see, we've made a variety of different templates for you to use already, but we're going to quickly just go through and explain how you might be able to make your own. So if you go to the plus sign at the top, and then go to shapes, and then basic shapes, you can see that you can select the square shape there. So if you just select a few of those, and then to keep them in place, you just click on the square and then go to the paintbrush and go to arrange. And then there's a part at the bottom that says lock. So in the templates that we've done already, we've locked the squares together so that if you were going to be sending these out to children, they wouldn't be able to move the squares. You do the same for the circles that would replicate counters using red or yellow or whatever colour you would want. But the counters wouldn't be locked, so therefore the children be able to drag the counter in to represent each sound of a word. And the other examples in the next slide, so you might want the children then to actually physically write the words in the boxes or write the sounds. So it'd be the same as the original, but they might want to use their finger by clicking on the plus and then drawing, and they would be able to actually go on and physically write in the sounds and split those sounds into each boxes. And I know that some schools have a stylus as well that they can use to help them to write on this as well. So Keynote is great because it automatically saves, and then the children can airdrop their spelling words back to the teacher, and we'll discuss airdrop in a little bit more detail later on. Okay, so another strategy that we promote through our literacy training is diacritical marking. So this is an active learning approach, mainly for middle school learners upwards. The children are encouraged to investigate sounds or phonemes which are put together to make up words. They're then asked to mark the words to show how they have been made up with single, split, or joint phonemes. So for example, the first word is cat. The single sounds or phonemes are marked with a dot. So C, A, T are all single sounds and would need one dot underneath each. So for short, the joint phonemes are marked with a dark line, joining two sounds together to make a new word such as sh. This shows that the learners understood that this and together make the sound sh. The split phonemes are marked with a joining loop or a bridge, and this shows the learners know that the silent or magic E make the O say O. This strategy can be completed easily using the markup tool, which Laura is going to do a quick demo of just now.
Yep, so I'm just going to come back out of this PowerPoint just now and go back into Keynote. So we looked at that briefly this morning. And again, as Emma said, the templates will all be available. So when I go into diacritical marking, you'll see, first of all, that what I've done is I've just replicated what Emma was talking about on the slide there. So looking at single sound phonemes, looking at joined phonemes, and also looking at split phonemes. Now, Keynote is also a really good tool to support teacher workload and workflow as well. So when you are on Keynote, if you create any kind of flashcards or anything like that at all, if you go to the three little dots at the top right-hand corner, and you then go to export, you can export them as PDFs as well. So if you were creating anything on Keynote 2 to support spelling, it's a really useful tool. So for example, you can see this next slide. I've got 4 different words. Now, obviously, you might have your own list of words. It might be a picture of something. It might be something that you've created. And what you can use is you can use the airdrop tool and also the markup tool to distribute this with children. And that's what they look like there. So the airdrop is the little blue icon, and the markup is the little pen icon. So for example, if I were to put that into full screen mode and take a screenshot of that, I could then airdrop that to the children that I'm working with. And to airdrop something, again, it's just 3 little dots at the top right-hand corner, and share, which is the kind of little square with a little arrow popping out of it. And you can see airdrop is there, and that's not powered by internet, so you don't need Wi-Fi to do that. It's also a handy wee tool for sharing, you know, photos for personal devices, you know, for your own workflow as well, so whatever you want to use. So when that is then airdropped to the child, that would go straight into their photos. And what you can see, I'm just going to scroll up. Hopefully I should have it here. If not, I'll go back in and take another wee screenshot of it just now. Okay, oops. Okay, so I'm going to go back into my photos. That should be it now. Yes, and it's popped in. So I'm going to open that just now. You can see it's kind of full screen mode, and up at the top right hand corner there's a little edit button. So I'm going to tap on that, and lots of different options will open up, but you want to go to the 3 little dots again at the top right hand corner, and you want to tap on the markup tool. And you'll see that straight away this little palette to the right hand side will pop up, and that pops up in quite a few iPad applications. So you've got the option to add, for example, a ruler in. You can get rid of that as well. If you're OCD like me and you want to highlight in straight lines, if you're doing anything digital, that's a really good tool. But you can use, for example, let's just use the pen tool just now, and you can play about with colours. But if you wanted children to obviously use that kind of diacritical marking, they can then put their dots, not a very good dot just now, for their single sound phonemes, whatever they want to use. They can also use their joined as well, and they can annotate their spelling as well. So they can do that for lots of different things as well. Obviously, if they've got styluses in the school or Apple pens, they can use those, but if not, they can also use their finger as well. And obviously, to save changes on anything that they've marked up, it's just tapping on done at the top right hand corner, and done again. And that will save into their photos, and the child can then airdrop that back to the teacher or share via Seesaw, Teams, Shobi, whatever platform you might be using. So I'll take you back into the presentation just now. There we go.
Well, thanks, Laura. Okay, we're just going to have a quick look at spelling rules now. So as well as teaching spelling phonemes, spelling rules is also an important aspect. So as adults, spelling rules come quite naturally and automatically for us, but children, they really need to be taught explicitly. As we know, there are many weird and wonderful rules and exceptions to rules within the English language, which can make spelling really particularly difficult for learners, children and adults. Spelling rules can be taught in rotation or alongside phonemes, or as part of subject-specific vocabulary. We want to give children the knowledge and understanding that they need to explore different ways to spell. We want to provide learners with additional experiences beyond strategies like look, cover, write and check, and copying words in a list and putting them into sentences. So these are just a couple of examples of spelling rules that learners would naturally possibly come across. The technicalities are not always the easiest to remember, of course. For example, the word dropped, the rules to double the final consonant at the end of one syllable words and then add an ending that starts with a vowel. That's really, really wordy and quite complicated for learners. Looking at exploring prefixes, soft and hard C and others. And even as adults, they're complex, but once the rules discussed and practiced together with the teacher, and that's the important part, that these are explored with the teacher in class, they start to become a bit more embedded and children become more confident. As you can imagine, there's a wide range of rules to know and learn. Remembering and explaining these rules can become quite complex, so it's possibly more of a focus for primary 4 learners upwards. There are loads of resources out there that help support the teaching of these rules. So we've just made a couple of suggestions on the next slide with resources that we promote through our Literacy for All training. You usually find these resources lying around your school somewhere, and they are really good in providing a range of examples and support. So as well as this, the GDSS have created a really handy spelling hints book that provides, again, some great examples of various rules and lists of appropriate words. In my own experience, I've found that learners have really enjoyed the working out of how these rules work, and particularly successful with boy learners, as they typically like to understand the kind of technical side of things. So what Laura has done is she's kindly added a QR code onto this slide that takes you straight to the booklet on our Literacy for All Glow tile and takes you straight to the document there. Okay, last of all then, common and tricky words. The final component here, having these visible will of course aid children in learning these types of words, as they are often not phonetically decodable. For home learning, these could be included within the text that we send out to learners digitally. Focus for these kind of words may come up naturally or through subject and topical vocabulary. Okay, so I just wanted to talk just very quickly about the difference between strategies and activities. So as highlighted previously, we wanted to equip our learners with the strategies and tools they need to learn new words and develop their spelling. So strategies should be explicitly taught by the teacher. Activities then allow the learners to practice their words independently, and this can be then through homeschool learning tasks and activities to consolidate. With experiences in both, we aim for learners to apply their knowledge and understanding within their writing across the curriculum as well. We're just going to show you now some strategies and activities that can be supported with some digital tools.
Okay, thank you, Emma. So looking first of all at one of the spelling strategies is syllabification. So allowing children to chunk up the words into more manageable pieces to break them up. And that is a really good way of them applying their phonological awareness skills as well. It's obviously useful for complex multi-syllabic words. That little word list there is probably chocolate, what we're all craving right now, Malbec, very large glasses of wine, probably all need at the weekend. A holiday, absolutely, probably what we're all thinking about just now. So what we're going to look at just now is the Book Creator app. Now, last week, Carol did a fantastic webinar on using this and particularly looking at the accessibility features of this as well, but it just gives you a flavour of how it can be used to develop syllabification as well. So the Book Creator app is the little kind of multicoloured icon that you can see that's got a little book and also a little pair of scissors, and it's a fantastic app in so many ways. So you can see first of all that I've made this little kind of template just now. I'm going to open that, and what's really good about Book Creator is you don't need to do lots of files, save as, it automatically saves it. So if you were to run out of charge or your iPad was to crash for whatever reason, that would still save. So you can see I've got a wee title on it, and again, children could be exploring their creativity when creating this as well. And we've got my spelling book. You can see we've got a nice kind of fancy background, but you can play about with that as well. But if I just go on to the next page just now, you can see I've got one of the words from my list there, so I've got chocolate. And the font that I've used is the Open Dyslexic font as well, just another kind of tool that can be used to support learners. So they can add that text themselves. And you can see underneath it that I've also written that word as well, so they can practice writing and forming letters as well. I've got a little picture in there, so it's a very kind of visual representation for the children. And you can see I've got a very large kind of sound icon. And basically what that is it means that the child can add sound recordings of them chunking up the words, clapping them out, tapping, whatever it is they're choosing to do. So they can actually add that into their book. So to do that, you go to the little plus icon at the top, and that's where I can add my photos, I can draw, I can add text, and that little add sound button, it just gives me my little recording button, and I would just tap on that to record, and it automatically goes right into the book. Now, for whatever reason, when we're on Teams, the sound doesn't play through, but what I'll do is I'll share this template with you as well. You've also got lots of different options as well. So if I tap on the little I button, you can change the background. If I go to papers, you can change it to line, to square, to graph, and even musical notation as well. So there's lots of different options. But what it means is when the child is kind of uses that as their kind of support or just to kind of document their work, when I go back, you can see the little share button again at the bottom, the little rectangle with the arrow. And you can export that. Now, when you publish it online with a teacher account, which is what we would just use our our Apple ID that we've been given, we actually get a link for that, and that can be shared with parents and carers, and it opens up the book, and they can actually turn the pages as well. So they've got something that they've created that's been used to support them as well. And again, that could be used in the other sense that teachers maybe create some books to support children. So there's lots of different possibilities for using that specific application. I'm going to go back into the presentation. And again, looking at another strategy, the use of mnemonics. Again, how it helps memory, it can be visualised. I know I remember memorising lots of mnemonics when I was young as well to help me with spelling. It obviously can be part of the word, maybe focus on a tricky part that's often difficult for them to remember. And it's just the children being exposed to all these wee tips and tricks that will help support them. So for example, in the word autumn, the tricky part is obviously the n. So remember, squirrels gather nuts in autumn. So it's all those different wee tricks to help you. And again, that could be displayed in the Book Creator app as well, and it gives children that kind of digital documentation to support them with their spelling as well. Looking at compound words as well, so words within words. And even as a teacher who taught a lot of the time up in primary...
Please don't switch the router off.
Oh, even as a teacher who worked in primary 6 and 7 as well, that was a strategy that many of my learners would use a lot of the time, and they would become more and more familiar with it and do it more independently as well. So again, thinking about words within words, when you're saying the word, emphasising the word within, that goes back to what Emma was saying earlier on at the beginning about being actually saying the word, making the word, breaking it up. And focusing on how it helps them to become more manageable when dealing with their spelling work as well. So looking very briefly just now at spelling activities, and again, just a reminder, obviously we know these are to allow the learners to consolidate what they've learned. It's not their actual, when they're actually exploring these as well. And many of you will be familiar with all of these spelling activities, little spelling cards that are down there. I know they're very popular in schools, lots of different ideas for children to work on their spelling words as well. So things like rainbow writing, backwards, capital dot torch writing as well. There's lots of different creative ideas as well. One which we wanted to look at today purely because it tied in so nicely with 30 Days of Create that you might have seen on Twitter or across different digital platforms just now. But a few weeks ago, there was a fantastic challenge which was looking at magazines. So you can see in the previous slide, that was one of the suggested spelling activities. And a way that this was incorporated digitally was, you can see the little slide there. So the 30 Days of Create was asking children to take a photo of each letter of their name by looking for it in their house, outside in the garden, whatever it may be. But obviously that could be adapted to explore their spelling words as well. So again, just another wee way that they could do this, obviously using their camera tool on their iPads as well, whether it be if it's outdoors, if it's in the classroom, if it's at home. finding and exploring all these different letters, and also having that chat about different font styles, you know, all of that kind of different exploration that you can have with the children. But I'll just take you back into the Kiro app just now, and you'll notice we use this quite a lot. It's a fantastic app. Definitely check out the Apple Teacher Monday if you haven't done already. So you can see this was my entry for the 30 days of Create, and again it was just looking at my name, but obviously we'd be thinking about it in a spelling context and looking at spelling words. So I went round my garden, round my house, outside to see if I could find these letters, and I just cropped them and popped them into this Keynote. So again, thinking about all the digital skills as well that they're doing, they're capturing images, they're cropping, they're importing, they're exporting. But what's quite a nice idea if they're using this specific activity for spelling, once they have all of their letters in, and you can see when I tap on the first one and I go to animate, you can see I've animated that to pop in. So it's a bit like PowerPoint animations. We used to, especially primary teachers, we love a good animation. So we've animated each of the letters, but what you can do is export them. So again, those just 3 dots at the top, and export. And you can see one of the options to export is an animated GIF, which is the little moving images that you can see that you might pop on WhatsApp or even some of the chat as well today. And when you export it, it gives you the option for frames per second, but usually I just keep it at whatever it's at. And when you export it, you can see what it would look like. So it would mean all of the letters would pop in as well. So it's just quite a nice creative idea for a spelling activity using the digital tools as well. I'm going to come back out of that now. I'm going to go back into our presentation. Okay, so we're also looking at assessment as well. So we know we're constantly assessing, we're looking at different ways to assess, we're looking at ongoing peer, self and teacher assessment. And we've highlighted peer as well because obviously that will look slightly different in the new norm come August. And we're going to look at how we can use some of the digital tools to still incorporate that use of peer assessment within our classrooms. We would be thinking about different ways to assess spelling, so it might be weekly spelling assessments through dictation, or termly spelling assessments, but also consolidation through writing. So the words that the children have been learning or working on, how they can then use those words and apply them in different contexts as well. So that's obviously something to think about too. So bearing those in mind, we're going to look just now at the Pages app, which is again something that has been used in Apple Teacher Monday, and obviously that airdrop function as well. So I'm going to come back out of the presentation and I'm going to go to Pages, which is a little orange icon down at the bottom with a little white pen. And again, there's a video on how to use different features in Pages as well. But for example, if you had some of your learners either doing possibly the writing task, we spoke about how consolidation through writing, so they might be using Pages to do that. They might be just using it for their spelling words, whatever it is that they want to do. But if they had, for example, written a sentence or a story or anything at all, we just want to look at some of the features that we can use within Pages for that assessment. So when you highlight a word, so I'm going to double tap on Tran, which is obviously meant to be train. If you were using peer assessment there or self-assessment or teacher assessment also, they can highlight. We can give that word a wee highlight, and when that's airdropped back to the children, they would know that, oh, something's highlighted there, perhaps something isn't right, and they can start to use all their strategies that we've been exploring as well. What they can also do, if I double tap on another word, double tap on this word, you can see it's got the little red stroke underneath it. It will give you some different options for that word as well, just to help the children too. I'm going to tap on it down just now. And what we can also do for feedback is when I'm going to press this little arrow and it will give me some new options. And if we're thinking about peer self-teacher assessment, that little comment box is great, because what it means is the child, their peer or the teacher can leave a little comment in the box to give them some feedback. And when they've done that, you can see if the child has that airdropped back to them, they've got a little yellow post-it at the side, so they'll know straight away that there's a little bit of feedback there. So when you tap on that, it gives them that feedback as well. So it's just different ways that we can explore it and use some of the digital tools as well. So I'm going to come back out of this and go back into our presentation, and I'll hand you over to Emma just now.
I'm actually very impressed that we've managed to stick to our time here, Laura. Thank you.
No.
So thank you all very much for coming along and listening to us today. It was just really a quick highlight of our usual spelling training, but we hope that you've managed to take away a couple of nuggets to use in terms of the digital tools as well. I've added just at the end here the Glasgow's Improvement Challenge Reconnect infographic in case you haven't seen it already. Our team will be continuing to provide support via some more coffee break webinars with Glasgow Counts and Create webinars coming up on the 9th, 16th and 17th of June. So it'd be great to see everybody there again. And our team are also currently developing further support surrounding outdoor and home learning. So keep an eye out on our Twitter page for updates and future CPD opportunities. So thanks very much again, and hope you have a great weekend when it comes.